Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair and another video sponsored by PCBWay.com. PCBWay are a premium manufacturer of printed circuit boards, of course. They will produce small productions if you are a hobbyist, if you want to make some prototypes or build your project. And also you can put these into the shared project section as well, which means you can make money from your PCBWay products. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So the thing today, this is an idea that just came up by chance. And this came from Detlef, really. So the idea was, with modern technology, could we use modern tech to build a bench power supply, variable voltage, variable current? So, Detlef, what did you think?
You guys know me by now, because I'm the guy who says, I don't need one connector, I always want to have USBC for anything. And then I watched a video from Great Scott. Shout out to you, man. He's, by the way, German, and if you don't know Great Scott, you should. We maybe have a link in the description.
Okay, we do that.
Yeah, and he had a video out there where he talked about a little controller chip that uses USBC PPS.
Oh, so this is not USBC PD?
Nope, this is not PD.
Okay, well, we better tell you guys all about it. So, Detlef, shall we show these guys the link that you saw?
Onto the screen. Okay, yeah, there's Great Scott on the video, and he's talking about PPS from USB. So this is what you see. There are the normal decoys, we call them. This gives you the fixed voltage of 5, 9, 11,
12,
14, and 20 volts.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this is what we normally use, but there's a different protocol in here that isn't so much used anywhere.
Okay.
And this is PPS, and PPS gives you micro steps in the voltage and in the current.
That means you can actually select any voltage you want from like a PD style charger, but it's a PPS charger.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So normally there's PPS on the screen, program a power supply. Man, this is so good timed because it looks like we tried this before. And yeah, he talks about this is the only thing that really uses this is a phone. So if you haven't watched the video, you maybe want to go there right now and catch on what I'm talking about. There's a little controller chip for the communication between your power brick and your output voltage. This normally has to be done with a microcontroller, but there's a complete solution for this. And this little board you're seeing on screen right now,
so
in the right direction.
This is simulating what your mobile phone would do. So your mobile phone with a PPS supply could actually say, I want like 5.73 volts or something at whatever current.
Or 4.1 to charge a lipo cell.
Yeah, oh, of course, okay.
Yeah.
That could talk sense, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, which is more than most people do on mobile phones, by the way.
True.
Talk sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got past that little technicality. So what does this breakout board do? Is it the same thing?
It is a communication board between the PD power supply and the whatever is behind that. And Great Scott does this here. He uses this to set up a voltage thing, and I thought, man, he stops in the middle there because he doesn't do a real project with this. By the way, this board isn't from Great Scott itself. This is from a little company that is linked in the video description of this video over there.
And this is CentyLab.
CentyLab, yeah. They do the little board there, and the good folks at CentyLab are so nice, and they have the complete thing open source.
Okay, so is this the specifications? Yeah, look, functional description. So this little board sends these commands to the power supply, the PPS power supply.
Yeah, and you don't need to do the nitty-gritty stuff. You simply talk to it by I2C. I2C is a standard protocol that every microcontroller can speak. So you got this little breakout board, but then you're left without the right thing. Great Scott did a little bit of software there, but he's, I think, not so keen on software writing. So this ends somewhere in the middle without a final product. And I thought, man, this would be so easy to build a power supply with that, because a power brick on your desk that does 100 watt.
Yeah.
And where you can do steps in 200 millivolts increments. I'm fine with that because I need 5 volt and 3.3 maybe, or something to charge the lipo. And but with a modern supply, can go up to 28 volts.
Yes, 28 volts. Yeah.
28 volts and maybe up to 100 watts or something. So crazy.
A bit more, 140 watts.
Yeah,
5 amp. Yeah.
Crazy amount of stuff. I never use this. And I thought, okay, this would be easy to write a little thing for that. You have a little display and a microcontroller behind that. It simply talks to the thing and does all the shenanigans and a little rotary encoder on the thing. And then I talked to Richard.
Of course. So we talked about this, guys. Now we've actually watched this video, and I do suggest you watch this. So in this video, Great Scott actually shows that the PPS protocol, you can actually change the output voltage of the power supply with a resolution of 80 millivolts per step and 24 milliamps for the current. So you can see he just sends a particular command, in this case OX12, yeah, and then you add on a parameter which is however much current you want. Well, what he found is that the PPS power supplies actually ignore that.
Yeah, and this is why the little board has 2 MOSFETs on it.
Yeah.
Somewhere there must be a schematic on
the board
on the screen somewhere.
Yeah.
Or we can get this from the GitHub repo.
Right. There are 2 MOSFETs on the board, but he actually finds a very interesting way to get around this in the code. So what he actually does is he actually realizes, of course, that with a constant current power supply, you just reduce the voltage until the current comes to whatever current you want. Yeah, so if you want 1 amp and it's drawing more than 1 amp because it's a low resistance load, you just reduce the voltage until you get the 1 amp. So what he actually does in his code is this: he monitors the current with a current sense resistor, and then he says, okay, reduce the voltage until it matches what you have. But that must take some time, and that was one of my concerns with this thing that he built. So this is what he's done. I'm sure you guys, if you go and watch the video, you know a bit more. But that was the limitation he found, that the actual variable current doesn't work. You can make it work in software by using this trick of reducing the voltage. But that's where he got with it, and that was really the end of it. Also with this protocol, the minimum voltage you can actually have from the power supply, PPS, is 3.3 volts.
You actually see this on screen there. See where the red arrow points?
Yeah.
So there you see 3.3 volts to 21 volts. This particular power supply that is connected, device is connected to right now, would deliver that.
Yeah. Some devices will deliver 28 volts.
Yep, true.
So we have some limitations here. We have one limitation that you can't output less than 3.3 volts. And the other problem which I see is there's probably some lag, although I don't know how much, and that would depend on how fast the microcontroller can respond to actually getting the current limit, or getting the current down to the limit that you set. So I said to Det, do you really think we can use this to make a bench power supply? And Det said,
I'm fine with that, because I only need 3.3 volt, 5 volt, maybe 12 volt for really high volt applications.
Oh, high voltage stuff.
So I would be fine with that. But the guy beside me said, no.
The problem I see, obviously, with the bench power supply for repair work rather than developing Arduino stuff, basically, is that, for example, if you want to inject voltage into a short on something like a GPU, you probably want 0.8 volts. Yeah, if you stick 3.3, okay, the current limit will bring the voltage down low because of the short. But if the short accidentally goes away, you've suddenly got 3.3 volts into your very sensitive device. So a lab power supply needs to have really from 0 volts up to the maximum, and a very fast current limiter.
So there's a little board Great Scott showed then. This is open source, so they did the layout open source, so you can build this by yourself. And they did there's a library for that, so you don't even need to write all the nitty-gritty stuff. You have simply a library that's pre-made for you, and you simply can use that. So very handy, and very much thank you for CentyLab. Yeah, CentyLab, yeah.
Yeah, for do that. So does that mean we have the Gerber files for this, so we can send them over to PCBWay.com and we can just order some PCBs?
This is what we thought.
Yeah, okay. So that's the evaluation board which we're going to use. Now, how do we get this to perform how we would want our bench power supply to perform? Well, it just so happens sometime last year I built this project. So this is a PCBWay project in the shared project section, and this is for a linear 0 to 30 volts, 0 to 10 amps power supply. So this is your standard linear bench power supply circuit. And here is the project on PCBWay.com. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can actually make money from your projects. So with PCBWay.com, anybody can upload a project, and if other people then come and order those PCBs or assembled items, you get 10% commission. You don't have to stock anything. You don't have to worry about, am I going to sell these? Do I have to post these out? Yeah, PCBWay just do it all for you, and you get 10% commission off any that sell. So that's where this project actually came from. And I built this and we tested it last year. Again, I'll link the video in the description of this one. And here is the one which I built. It's all lashed together. It's not into a case at the moment. I was just testing how well this circuit works. So this actually uses two LM723 voltage regulators. These are a well-established, shall we say, component. They've been around for donkey's years. And this type of design has been proven and tested over decades. This makes a very effective variable voltage, variable current power supply with current limits. So when you attach a load which wants to draw more power than you've set, it will just drop the voltage. There's no brains in there. The microcontroller doesn't have to think about it. These are effectively op-amp type circuits. So this is the one that I built. Now, there is an issue with these type of power supplies. You see, I have one transistor on here. That's the output transistor. This is the output from the device. And this is the voltage in. We have the current adjustment. This is the voltage adjustment, coarse and fine. This is a constant current LED, so you know it's limiting. And you see a relay. So what this actually does, if you look, it takes the positive input. This just goes straight to some sort of power supply, whatever your source of power is going to be, a transformer. And this switches the relay from here to these two wires. And what these two wires do, one of them is a 15 volt and one is 30 volts. So you would use something like a center tapped transformer. And when you alter the output voltage, once you go above 15 volts out, it switches to the higher input voltage. And by the way, if you're wondering about this thin wire, this is so that the 15 volt supply is always connected to control circuitry on here. The higher voltage is only switched via the output transistor. And the reason you need to do this is wattage dissipation. If you think about this, if you, for example, are outputting 1 volt and you have a 30 volt supply coming in, 1 volt is being supplied to your load and the other 29 are across this transistor.
Ooh, this will get toasty.
So at 10 amps, your 1 volt load would be drawing 10 watts of power, 1 times 10. This would be dissipating 290 watts. Yeah. And that is far too much for one transistor like this. You can build a supply, but you would need 4 or 6 transistors, a much bigger heatsink.
Only use in winter.
Only use in the winter, exactly. Now, this circuit gets around that somewhat because it switches the voltage coming in between 15 and 30. So now your situation is if you've got 1 volt coming out, it switches to 15 coming in, and that's now dissipating 140 watts.
Still a lot, but it's practically half what you would use when you have 30 watts input.
Yeah. So if it's 140 watts, you want to put 2-3 transistors in there to dissipate the power, and a nice big heatsink and a fan. So that's the limitation of this sort of supply. So I said to Det, well, if you can make your power supply give any voltage out you want, can we make it effectively track the output of this? So that if you put in, for example, 5 volts out here, it will put, say, 6.5 volts into the transistor. We need to have some voltage drop. We're not sure what the minimum might be. We can play around with that. But let's say it needs 1.5 volts across here. You've now suddenly got a much more efficient power supply. So at 10 amps, this is dissipating 15 watts.
Which would be great.
Which would be absolutely great.
And as an added bonus, since this is pretty much linear, this isn't a switch mode.
Nope.
You have a switch mode power supply, the PD thing, this thing in between, and it got a linear output. So
yep.
For all you analog guys out there, low noise.
Low noise, exactly. It's not quite as good as that because the minimum voltage coming out from the PPS power supply is 3.3. If you, probably the minimum voltage you realistically going to use on this is 0.8. Yeah, so that gives you 2.5 volts across here, which at 10 amps is 25 watts. But having said that, the PPS can only supply 5 amps. And 5 amps is enough in most cases for bench power supply. So we can reduce this by half again. So the maximum dissipation you're going to get on this at very low voltage output, 3.3 in, 0.8 out, I would say, and that's going to give you 25 watts dissipated in this.
5 amps, so this would be 25 by 12.
But as Det has just said, the PPS can't supply 10 amps. It can only drive this at 5 amps. So this would actually be giving you about 12.5 watts as the maximum. And in most cases, about 7.5 watts. Because we normally have about 1.5 volts across that. So we can then make with one transistor and just one small heatsink all the advantages of having a linear bench power supply with all the advantage of having a digital one because you have the low wattage and the transistors. And this idea, by the way, you audio guys will know, this came from Class H audio amplifiers. I've done some audio repair recently, and the Class H amplifiers do the same thing. The power supply tracks the audio waveform just a couple of volts above the peak at any given time, and therefore doesn't waste much energy, dissipate power. Okay, so the question is, can we make that thing of Great Scots track the output voltage of this? Okay, so that's the idea, guys. I don't know if this is the world's first Class H lab bench power supply, but it sounds good.
Sounds cool, yeah.
It does. Okay, Det, so what do we do next?
Yeah, I think our next step will be we order the little PCBs we saw in the video from Great Scott, because we need to play around with this. I have no idea which of our power supplies actually supports PPS, because this normally doesn't say on the labels, because PPS is something the controller chip can handle and is probably included in there, but normally people only care for PD. So where you get the fixed voltages.
This is due to the lack of decoys or boards to control them with.
Absolutely, yeah. And since you saw in Great Scott videos, he says the only device he knows is his phone that uses this.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing we need to figure out, which one of our supplies does this.
Yeah. So you're saying it may turn out that we already have supplies that support PPS, we just don't know.
I guess we have. I'm pretty sure we have. One of the big DJI ones will probably have one. The one you got with a tweezers thing over there.
Hot tweezers.
Yeah, with the hot tweezers.
Yeah, the 140 watt, 28 volt one.
This is probably PPS.
Excellent.
Yeah, the little chip on there can ask the supply, hey, what are you? And
so if we get the development board, effectively, do you have to have some different code you use?
Yep. We'll write some really short code where we simply plug in all the PD supplies and see what happens. If this says, all right, I'm a PPS power supply, I'm PPS capable, and
excellent.
Yeah.
Because I assume probably the USB analyzers we have probably won't do it because they're too old.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Our analyzers are too old. We need new analyzers.
Already.
Please sponsor.
Yeah, things moving on. Okay, guys, so that's the plan. I think this is going to be an interesting thing to do. And yeah, what do you guys think? Have you seen them over there? I think you might have some thoughts as well. And there's somebody waving at the back. Look. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that. We had some fun making this video again, so thanks once again to Detlef.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, you have some excellent ideas, man. Thank you very much to PCBWay.com for sponsoring the video.
All in the coffee.
And thank you very much to Great Scott out there for giving us the initial idea. Thanks very much, mate. Okay, hope you enjoyed watching that, and we look forward to seeing you all again soon on Learning Electronics Repair. Ciao for now, guys.
Ciao for now.